Run, party, repeat. Welcome to the East Coast Adventures Dirt and Vert Podcast, where we talk all things running, racing, and training to help you get ready for your next big adventure.
Learn from our successes and our failures, and have fun at the same time. Join us right here every week with inspiring guests who share their captivating tales from the trails. And remember, nobody cares.
Run faster. Welcome back to the Dirt and Vert Podcast. I'm David.
And I'm Matt.
And we have Katie Lance with us. Katie is someone that we got the pleasure of talking to and spending a little time with at our most recent event, which she was the first female at. And I guess you have a lot of good bragging rights when you win the Taco Bell 50K, because not only did you have to have good legs to run the 50K, but you also had to eat at 7 Taco Bells, and that in itself becomes an issue too. But Katie absolutely nailed it. She ran the whole 50K with the 7 stops in about 5.5 hours, finished first female, and just destroyed the tacos and the course. But we had to have Katie on to learn a little bit more about her story now. So Katie, if you don't care, tell us a little about who you are and how you got into running.
Hi guys, thanks for letting me be on your podcast. I'm excited to talk more about the Taco Bell 50K and then just my athletic career so far. And thanks again to you guys at East Coast Adventures for helping put on the Taco Bell 50K. It was actually a really fun event. I thought it'd be miserable, but it was really fun.
We heard that from a lot of people.
Yep.
So I guess the background of how I got to get into, ultra running. As my most recent race was the Taco Bell 50K. So I grew up running and swimming. I did that in middle school and high school. And I was pretty good. I ended up going to state in both events. But I wasn't good enough to, go to, D1 college anywhere. So I ended up going to the University of Tennessee, where I walked on to the rowing team. And so I was a student athlete on the rowing team for 4 years at UT. And I always thought I would get into triathlons, having a background in running and swimming. My swim coach actually used to say, if you could just be good on the bike, you'd be an amazing triathlete. And so I did think I would get into those in college, but then I, as I said, ended up rowing. So after college, my plan was to start triathlons. But then COVID hit, so I kind of put a pause on any athletics at the moment. And so after races and run groups started coming back after everything was on lockdown, I decided I wanted to run my first marathon. And so I started training just on my own. I ran my first marathon. It was the Rock and Roll Marathon in Nashville. I ended up running a 3:18 and qualifying for Boston. And I was like, okay, finally, I've been doing sports for 20 years, and I think I finally found my calling is endurance sports. Because I finished that marathon, and my first thought was, that wasn't that bad. I had heard horror stories about marathons, so it was pretty fun. And so then after the marathon, I was ready to commit to doing an Ironman. In my mind, I wanted to do something harder to push myself more than just the marathon. So the next year I signed up for a full Ironman. I was just going to do the half Ironman in Chattanooga, but it was actually all full by the time I was ready to sign up. So I was like, oh, well, I guess I'm just going to train for a full Ironman. So that year I went from only biking at probably the most at one time was 20 miles to the 116 miles at the Chattanooga Ironman. And during that time, I fell in love with triathlons. My first triathlon, there was a man who said triathlons are like eating a bag of chips. once you like have one, you can't stop. You just want to keep going. And he was right. I guess that's with a lot of sports though, like any running race. It's like once you finish, you're already planning how you can go perform better the next time. So I completed my first Ironman, which was Ironman Chattanooga in 2022, and I ended up getting first in my age group and qualifying for the World Championships in Kona. And so that next year in 2023, I competed at the World Championships in Kona, and then also the Ironman 70.3 World Championship. And during that year, I had in my mind, I guess this sport is pretty fun, and I think I can earn my professional card. So that was my goal that year, and I was able to do so. Starting in 2024, I was a professional triathlete, and I did 2 full Ironmans as a professional and 3 or 4 half Ironmans. But during the time, I also had a full-time job as a civil engineer at TVA, and I was in the river management group, and so I was working weird 12-hour shifts that were day shift or night shift. So then I trying to balance both the full-time job and trying to train like almost 20 hours, like 18, 20 hours to be a professional triathlete. I got completely burnt out. I was definitely not sleeping enough. And at the end of that season, I didn't want to do triathlons anymore. I was done. And so I decided I was going to hike the Appalachian Trail in 2025. It had always been a dream of mine since I was probably about 13. I grew up in East Tennessee, and I'd been to a lot of highlights along the Appalachian Trail. So I was like, this is the time to do it while I'm still young. I don't have any like family responsibilities. So I quit my job. I put a pause on competing in triathlons and my professional license. And last year in 2025, I hiked 2,198 miles and completed the Appalachian Trail. And that took about 5.5 months. While I was hiking the Appalachian Trail, I loved the trail. And so after that, I combined my love of the trail and endurance sports, and I ran my first 50K, trail 50K, at the end of January. It was the Mountain Mist 50K in Huntsville, Alabama. And I ended up getting second female during that race. I will say I did not train long enough for it, only about actually like 8 weeks of training. But I really liked the chill environment of ultra running. And so then when the Taco Bell 50K was announced, I was like, I can definitely do that. I have an iron stomach, and that was proven correct during the race.
That's a pretty amazing career already.
Yeah.
Do you miss the triathlons right now doing ultras?
Well, that's a good question. If you had asked me that, I would say like a month or 2 ago, I would say no. But actually the past few weeks, I've done a few, I guess, track workouts, more speed intervals. And I was like, okay, I do miss going fast. So we'll see. I don't know what's to come.
Well, I mean, you definitely have a good future in ultra running too. So it's Mountain Mist is not an easy race. No. And that was your first ultra. And was that your first? That wasn't your first trail race, was it?
It was also my first trail race too. Yes.
That's pretty impressive,
That is impressive,
Katie. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Why Mountain Mist?
Oh, well, I picked that race because one of my friends from the Appalachian Trail was running that race, and so he convinced me to do it. And I didn't realize it was one of, I guess, a really tough ultra marathon until about the week before. And what made it worse was the weather that weekend. It was supposed to be like freezing rain, like during the race itself, but it rained the day before and then it froze overnight. So there was areas where the rocks were pretty slick.
I mean, the Appalachian Trail probably helped you with this, being on that for 5 months.
Yeah.
You're probably a little bit at least used to that tough terrain.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, the terrain on definitely the rocks. There was actually a section of Mountain Miss that was just a bunch of small rocks, and in my mind, I was like, this is exactly like hiking in Pennsylvania. There's like no dirt; it's just straight rocks.
So wow, you literally changed your entire life to do the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah.
You quit your job, which you had a job as a civil engineer at TVA. So most people would not quit their job to go hike the Appalachian Trail, especially a job with TVA.
TVA, yeah.
And you also put a pause on your pro card with the Ironmans. So was this something that you planned out, or was it just like, I'm doing it, turned in your notice and put everything on pause and was like, let's go?
A little bit of both. I would say I'd been thinking about it for a few months. So my last race was the end of November, and I kept thinking about it, and I think I fully committed to it in the end of January. And so that gave me like 2 months to actually prepare for the Appalachian Trail.
Do you regret it?
No, I think quitting my job and hiking the Appalachian Trail was the best decision I've ever made.
That's awesome.
That is good.
It's funny because most people go onto the Appalachian Trail for a sense of an adventure and a way to push themselves. But my mindset was completely opposite. I already knew how to push myself from all the races I had done, and just from being an athlete since I was like 9 years old, forced to do swim workouts without being able to breathe. So I've been pushing myself for as long as I can remember. And my goal on the Appalachian Trail was to reset my mind and learn how to rest and recover and actually listen to my body. I think being a student athlete in college with an engineering degree, I had to be constantly moving to like stay afloat, to be able to balance the academics and the sport. And so since then, I just was always going, always doing something, workouts, and if that, not that, being social. And the time away from the busy lifestyle really helped me reset my mind, and I know how to rest now. And not having all the distractions, I was able to learn what recovery is and able to sleep enough. And if there was a day that I woke up and I didn't feel like hiking like 20 miles, I would listen to my body and I wouldn't hike 20 miles. Whereas when you're on a strict schedule of I have to go to work, I have to do this workout, you don't actually kind of think about what your body actually needs sometimes. At least I didn't. And I think that was a great lesson I learned, and I hope to take that going forward into my next races and into the future.
That's pretty cool. What was your favorite part of hiking the AT?
My favorite section itself was in Vermont, because it was like being in the Smoky Mountains, but everywhere, because you're at higher elevations and it's very mountainous. And there was a lot of side quests during that time. I ended up hiking with the same 4 people for half of the Appalachian Trail. And one of the guys in my trail family was from Vermont. So we got to like stay at his friend's house for a night and then at his family's house for a couple nights. And so yeah, a lot of people when they think of the AT, they think of you like hiking alone in the woods, but it's actually a very social trail, and a big part of it are the side quests, like going into town, maybe staying in a hostel and playing board games and socializing with other hikers and the locals.
I mean, that's pretty cool. What cool memories. Would you do it again?
I don't know if I would hike the Appalachian Trail again, but there's the PCT, the Pacific Crest Trail,
Yep.
and then also the CDT, the Continental Divide Trail, and I would love to hike one of those. The three of them together is the Triple Crown, and I will probably complete that sometime in my life.
I
Sweet.
love it. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So you were basically out there for 5 months hiking and, kind of adventuring, I guess would be the better word to say, making your way through there. Did it feel kind of weird finishing?
Yes. Yeah, the last day, it was kind of funny because on the last day, there was people I was hiking with who couldn't wait to go home. Whereas I did not want to go home. As soon as I finished, my first thought was, I don't want to go home. And it wasn't because I didn't miss friends and family, because about 4 months into the hike, I was really struggling like mentally and wanted that support from my friends and family. But it's just after like that long on the trail, that becomes your daily life. And it was just weird to think that that wasn't going to be my daily life anymore. And it's just also so simple. You have a routine every day. You wake up, you pack all your things, then you hike to the next spot, and then you take out all your like tent and cook food. But in the same time, you're kind of accomplishing a goal every day because you are hiking those miles and you're getting closer to the end. So I think the sense of routine and accomplishing a goal really makes hiking satisfying.
Did you start in the north or the south?
I started in the south at Springer Mountain, Georgia, and then I hiked north to Katahdin in Maine.
Sweet. And when did you start?
I started April 13th last year, which was, I think, the perfect start date. People who started a week or two before me ended up getting a cold spell in their first couple days, whereas I started right after that cold spell, which was nice.
Timed that just right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was there anything? So you're doing Ironmans, and then you decide to switch over to hiking the AT. Had you had any hiking experience up to this point?
A little bit. I mean, I've been hiking ever since I was a little kid. We would go on day hikes or camping on the weekends. And then living in Knoxville, there was a period I would go hike in the Smokies almost every week. Backpacking, I had only gone on 3-day, 2-night backpacking trips. I'd never backpacked more than that. So hiking the whole AT and doing that every day was daunting at first. I think once I got to that 4th day and 3rd night, I was like, okay, this is the longest I've ever backpacked, but I think I can do this for 5 more months.
So did you have, when you set out, did you have like a time frame that you wanted to finish it? Or was you just going to go out there and as long as it took, that's what you were doing?
I did not have a time frame. I was just going to go out there, and as long as it took, I was going to finish it. But I guess you have to finish before Katahdin closes. Once the temperatures drop, it becomes unsafe. So, and that's usually in the middle of October. So I did have to finish before then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because it does get I mean, that area gets pretty bad.
I'm sure.
So I want to back up just a little bit more now and talk about college. Rowing. How did you get into rowing? So like I get that you were running and swimming, but then you decided to do rowing. So how did that, like, was that just like you were gonna hike the AT? You're like, I'm gonna row.
Oh, kind of, yes. So, as I said, I grew up swimming, and I had a friend who was 2 years older than me. And whenever she went to college, she ended up walking onto the rowing team. So that's how I knew that that was an option. But I went into college to focus on academics. I knew at the time I wanted to be an engineer. But I missed being on a team, and I missed sports in general. I missed having having to go to practice. And so whenever they were having tryouts for the rowing team, I was like, well, I'm at least going to try and see if I can make it. I had never rowed before. I'd never been on one of the rowing machines or on a boat or anything. But they really look for people who have the drive and the determination, and who want to be there and who are athletic enough that they can mold into good rowers. So that freshman year, I was on the novice team, which are the walk-ons. So I completed that year, and then you had to complete a standard to make it onto varsity for sophomore year and beyond. And then I was able to make that standard and make it onto the varsity team.
Do you remember what the standard was?
Oh, I think. Oh, no. I'm trying to think. It was a certain time for, I think it was 30 minutes, and you had to hold a certain wattage on the rowing machine. And I can't remember the exact, I don't want to say what it is, just in case it's wrong, but I don't want to. I remember it being very tough, though. Like, I spent a lot of time that summer practicing and preparing for that test.
So when you made varsity, did you get a scholarship?
I got a little bit of a scholarship. It wasn't a full ride, but it helped pay for housing. So
Yeah. Hey, I mean, that's something, you know. Congratulations for that. Also shows like your drive as far as, you know, a person that has never rowed, to have a little bit of confidence in yourself to think that you can make varsity your second year, and even to have confidence that you can walk on, like you said, you've never even rowed. So that's pretty cool to have a little bit of confidence. And I say this all the time, but you know, we all have to have a little bit of swagger, a little bit of confidence to do what we do. Like, I mean, you're not going to go hike the AT if you don't believe you can't do it. You have to have some confidence in yourself. And so that's pretty cool to see. I mean, it's just like going and signing up for Mountain Mist. You got to have a little bit of confidence in your ability to run a trail. And the Taco Bell 50K is just a whole different scenario. And I think it speaks kind of volumes to who you are, and that you're willing to go out and try new things. And, you know, sounds like once you put your focus on something, you really dig in and try to do the best you can and learn about it, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, there's just not a lot of competitive Taco Bell 50Ks in the world. So I don't think that's going to be like your calling, but you did do great at that too.
Hey, food eating competition maybe next. I mean,
yeah. But I want to ask you about the Mountain Mist. So you've done the Ironmans, you've done rowing, you hiked the AT. What was your experience like running this 50K now at Mountain Mist? Like, it's usually a pretty big field. It's usually a pretty competitive field.
Yep.
You were second female on a pretty gnarly course, you know, and Mountain Mist is, you know, it's a pretty nostalgic race to run.
Yep.
So what was your like overall feelings at the end of the day? Like, how did you feel that went? And was there anything you learned from that experience?
So So after I completed the race, I finished better than I thought I would, and it felt better than I expected. I had only trained 8 weeks leading up to the race, and I was nowhere near the fitness I was a year ago. I'm still nowhere near the fitness I was when I was doing Ironmans, and I thought the fitness would come back faster than it did. Like 2 weeks leading up to the race, I still like wasn't in the shape I thought I would be in, and so I was kind of worried. My first goal was to get, I think, maybe around 5 hours. And then once I learned how hilly and technical it was, I was like, okay, maybe it'll be more like 6 to 7 hours. And then I ended up finishing in 5 hours and 40 minutes. So I felt better during the race than I thought, especially at the beginning. My pace was faster than I thought. I thought I would go like 10-minute miles, and I was going like 9-minute miles at some points. But what hit me was the last 6K or 10K. The last 10 miles, my legs started to hurt, and they just like were like, I guess they just felt heavy. They didn't really want to move. And Mountain Mist at that point got very technical. We go like straight downhill, and there's a bunch of rocks, and you go like straight back uphill, and there's a bunch of rocks. And in my mind, I was just like, I just want it to be flat so I can just run and finish. I don't want to keep stepping on these rocks or having to like use the mental capacity to avoid the rocks. So that was something I wasn't expecting. Since it was my first trail race, I'm not used to running on trails and such, I guess, as fatigued as I was. So that was definitely something I learned.
Well, that's considering that you still finished in second place, you held it together very well. So, if you were in that much pain and your legs were that heavy, like you did a good job of like forcing yourself to, to keep moving. Man, that's awesome. How did the fueling go? Did you have any issues with fueling?
So my strategy going into fueling was I was gonna stop at every aid station and put a tailwind into my water bottle, and I skipped the first one because it was only like 4 or 5 miles in, and then the second one was at 11 miles in, and at that point I thought I had run out of water, but evidently my water bottles were frozen. So I have the type of water bottles that have like the straw, and so yeah, those were frozen, and so after that second aid station, I had to put one of my water bottles like in my shirt so it would melt and wouldn't be frozen. And then I just had to kind of alternate between putting them in my shirt and keep running. But I first started off second female, and then I caught up to the first female in a group of guys she was running with, and I ran with them for like 5 miles and right up into that second aid station. And at that point, I guess she had her fueling down pat, and she just like ran by that second aid station, and I had to stop and like figure out my water bottles, put the tailwind in, and so what I learned from that was to maybe be more strategic about fueling, not stopping at every aid station. Yeah, so I like, kind of let her go after that. And I tried to catch back up, but then there was a pretty big hill halfway through the race, about mile 14, and she just left me there.
Well, I mean, you did great, and considering that you stopped at the aid stations and used those as fueling, that definitely takes some time away. So the fact that you still did, second place with that time is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Water bottles freezing, man, that's always a shocker. You just never know when that's going to happen. ever.
That's what, yeah.
At least you figured it out. Like you worked it out to where you could get it to thaw out.
Yeah, it's in race what is that? In race where you figure it out quick. I mean, yeah, you got to think.
Good job.
Oh, I'll shout out to the guy who helped me at the aid station. It was actually his idea because I was like, "Do you guys have anything I can use to thaw this?" And he was like, "Put it in your shirt." And I was like, "Oh, that's a good idea."
Yep.
Yeah, that's perfect. So, how in the world did you find the Taco Bell 50K, and what in the world were you thinking signing up for that?
Oh, so actually, I knew about the Taco Bell 50K before it became public.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to run at a bunch of run groups here in Knoxville, Tennessee. And so I was just at one of the run groups, the Track Tuesday run group that starts at the Pace House. And one of my friends, he just like came up with the idea one day. And so he, because there's like a famous one out in Colorado. And he was like, okay, it'd be fun if just like a few friends and we do this 50K. So he maps out a route on Strava, and then he starts to like show other people. And in his mind, he's just trying to get like maybe like 5 to 10 friends to just do this one weekend. And that's when Ethan got a hold of it, the owner of the Pace House, and I think after that, he talked to, I guess, you guys or other people and made it an official race. And so once I heard it was an official race, I was like, okay, yes. I was going to do it before it was an official race. I was just going to join the guys and probably do it one random Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was sitting on the couch with Mary, and we were doing something I can't remember, and I get a text. And I just look down, and it's Ethan, and it says, "Hey, you guys want to help put on a Taco Bell 50K?" I was like, I text Mike, Matt, and the whole team, and they're like, "Hell yeah, that sounds awesome. I'm going to run it." And I was like, I just text Ethan back. I'm like, yeah.
And I had a race in November, the Circle track race in Chattanooga, and I went in there, and Julia, I was buying some things. She goes, "Hey, we got this idea for this Taco Bell race." I'm like, okay. She goes, "Do you think you guys would want to help with that?" I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, of course. And it was like, I think it was just a few days later, that's when David texted, and I'm like, yep, this sounds like a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, Ethan texted. I didn't hear from him for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then all of a sudden, and then Matt had talked to Julia, and then all of a sudden I start getting messages about dates, and I'm like, oh, this is for real now. Like we're happening.
Yeah,
That's
like
fun.
It was just kind of like a casual question. You guys want to help with this, or you know? I'm like, yeah.
Now give your friend some love though. What's who come up with the course name? You can go ahead. Yes. So Ben, thank you. And I actually got to spend a little bit of time at the race with Ben and talk to him. Unfortunately, Ben didn't even get to run it.
Yeah, he got injured a few months ago, and yeah, he was so sad he wasn't even able to run the race that he created.
He'll be back next year, though.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a part of Knoxville's history now, the Taco Bell 50K. So we had, I mean, you were there, like you got to experience that. I was telling Matt and Mike, because Matt had to leave early because his daughter had a ball game.
Yep.
And Mike was working, so Mike wasn't there. And Micah was there for just a little bit, but he had to leave early. But like, no one really got to see anybody finish. And so I was there timing, and I underestimated timing and counting wrappers. That kind of got overwhelming for a little while. It wasn't too bad when you all first started finishing, but when the middle of the pack started hitting, it was like, oh, this is a lot of work. But the funnest thing was like, as I'm sitting there, you know, and I've got this line wrapped around of people waiting on me to count wrappers, like everybody's just laughing. They're having fun.
Yeah.
And they were like, this was one of the funnest races I've ever done. They're like, I mean, yeah, I got sick. I mean, one guy puked 9 times.
Oh, I watched some of
them. But it was just really cool because no one, even the people that DNF'd, that came to bring their ankle bracelet back, that DNF'd and didn't finish, still said it was one of the funnest races they ran. and that was just really cool. Like, you know, it was just a fun setting. I mean, I had a couple people come up to the table and like slam their wrappers down. with their ankle chip, and they said, "Here's my wrappers for the Taco Bell Barkley." I'm like, yeah, nice. And they're like, it does kind of remind us of the Barkley because we have to collect the wrappers and we have to follow this route. And I'm like, yeah. I was like, I guess in a way, yeah, a little easier than the Barkley, but yeah.
One of the cool things was like most of the day I got to go to each Taco Bell and try to record and get interactions with people. And like he was saying, like nobody was like, it was hard, but they were all having fun. Like they're eating the Taco Bells and the tacos, and they're all just like, laughing and joking and telling stories. And even when the dude was throwing up, like I finally caught up to him, I think at Taco Bell 5, and he was leaning over the trash can, eating his Taco Bell, and he was just shoving it in his mouth, trying to get it down. And the Taco Bell before that, there was a big pile of throw up out front. And my wife was there. She goes, "Was that you?" He goes, "Yeah, that was me." She goes, "Oh, you're famous now. Everybody's talking about it." Because it wasn't hidden. It was just everywhere. But, I mean, they were all, even he was still having fun. Like, he wasn't suffering. He was just eating his Taco Bell and having fun.
And I have not shared them with anybody, but I do have pictures of him puking.
Oh, I saw some online.
Dexter and Sarah?
Oh, they're online.
Yeah. Are they?
Oh, hey,
yeah.
She posted it on the
I had
video.
her. I was like, she took pictures. I was like, send me those, but I haven't shared them with anybody.
Oh, they're on our Facebook.
So let me ask you: when you signed up, like you say you're going to do the Taco Bell 50K, did you sign up to try to race it, or did you just sign up to have fun, or both?
Probably both. I mean, I signed up to have fun and just to kind of see if it is possible to run and eat all these Taco Bells. But, I mean, in the back of my mind, if any race I do, I want to compete and win if possible. So I kind of did think I could probably get first female, and that was kind of my goal. And halfway through the race, I didn't think that was gonna happen. Erin, she was really fast, and yeah, we like ran together. It was honestly for the Taco Bell that I won, because I think if it was just running, she might have beat me, because she like slowed down the last few Taco Bell stops because of the tacos.
I mean, it's a lot to eat, and and the thing about it too is, like, for people that didn't run it or didn't read the rules or know anything about it, you cannot just walk into the Taco Bell and get your food and take off. You have to eat in the area before you can get back on the road.
Yeah.
Like, so you either have to be like somewhere around there and eat it all, then start running.
Yep.
So that does make it a little bit more difficult, especially if your stomach doesn't feel good, because you're not going to be able to just walk down the road and eat this burrito slowly, or Crunch Wrap Supreme that you have to eat.
Yeah.
So, and then when you get towards the end of the course, those Taco Bells get a little closer.
Oh, they did. Oh, yeah. They were close. Those last 3 were pretty close.
Did you have any issues with your stomach?
I had a little like discomfort, and I mean, I was probably like burping a lot. I don't usually burp during races. I mean, a lot of times during Ironmans, though, I eat until I'm nauseous and I have like stomach issues or discomfort. Just because in Ironmans, it's such a long race, I'm always worried about like bonking or hitting a wall, and usually probably eat too much during those. But I think my fueling strategy for the Taco Bell 50K worked out, because you had to eat 2 big items along the way before Taco Bell 6. So my goal was to kind of spread out the calories intake throughout the whole race. I think a lot of people waited till that 6th Taco Bell to eat one of their big items, but I ate my big item at the first Taco Bell, which was the Burrito Supreme. So then at the 3rd Taco Bell, I had my 2nd large item, which was a chalupa. And that's when I started to feel the discomfort of eating the Taco Bell. After that, I think a big part of it was since I was trying to win the other female runner, we were both at that Taco Bell at the same time. So I was trying to eat the chalupa as fast as I could. And I'm not good at like eating fast. Like an eating contest itself, I would miserably fail at. So, and then after that, yeah, those next few miles after that third Taco Bell, which was mile like 15, so it's the middle of the race, and yeah, discomfort after that. Then the fourth Taco Bell, I had a hash brown, kind of to balance. And then the last three Taco Bells were all pretty close. It was like every 3 miles. And for those three, I had the crunchy taco for them. And so I think I did a pretty good job like balancing.
Yeah.
Which one was the hardest to get down?
Either the chalupa, the big item at 3, or the last taco. That was difficult to eat. I was just done eating Taco Bell at that point.
Well, and it got, it really did get hot.
It did.
Like,
It
it
really
was a
did.
warm day, and
Yeah.
like, we weren't expecting that either. So, like, I was like, oh, man, that Taco Bell is going to be sitting rough today.
Like, for it to be in February, it got, like, during the day, like, that morning was nice.
Yeah.
And then the sun really came out, and I'm like, oh, these people are heating up.
Yeah, I got sunburned. I got really sunburned from the race.
Did you have fun, though?
Yes, it was so much fun, and since it was in Knoxville and you stopped at all the Taco Bells, there were different friends that came to the different Taco Bells, so that was really fun. Yeah, one friend, she just saw my location on my phone, and she was like, oh, I can make it over there to that Taco Bell in time, so that was a complete surprise. And then I had a few of my other running friends who went from one Taco Bell to the next and was helping cheer me on, telling me to eat faster.
I mean, that was one cool thing, like, going from each Taco Bell was seeing all the family and friends, like, sitting out in the front of the Taco Bells with signs and, just cheering them on. It was like an aid station environment for an ultra at a Taco Bell. It was really cool to see.
Yeah, and I got to say, kudos to Taco Bells. Like, they staffed it up. They had it ready.
Oh, yeah.
It was amazing how fast they were kicking out that food. I mean, it was impressive. If anybody should have got a medal, man, it was those guys. That was amazing. I've never seen so many bags of tacos and Crunchwrap Supremes sitting on a rack. It was impressive.
Like, even the people in there, the workers, they looked like they were having fun getting the food out to watch these people sit out there and eat it. Like, they were having a blast. It seemed like that.
Was that your favorite part of the race? Was that the fact that your friends were able to come see you?
Yes, I think so, because most races, that doesn't happen. You don't have friends and family on course, especially at Ironmans. Usually, friends and family can only see you at the transition area, and so to be able to see people throughout the whole race was really unique and fun.
Well, that's awesome. Well, and that's kind of the last thing I want to talk about here is let's talk about your Ironmans now. You got into Ironmans, you qualified for Worlds, which you got to go to Kona. Man, what was that like? I bet that was pretty cool.
Yes, so when I went to Kona, it was the first time they had the all-female race, which was in 2023. So there was just a lot of energy, like good positive vibes that whole week. I think because it was the first time they split the men's and women's. So historically, the World Championship race is in Kona in Hawaii each year, but it became such a big race and a big weekend to have both men and women that at one point they decided to split it off. So that year, the women were in Kona and the men raced in Nice, France. So that was, a unique experience. I will say, personally, I liked that it was just all women, because a lot of times when you are a faster female, you're in the water racing against guys, and guys are feisty and kind of rough when they're swimming. And then also the bike as well. Kind of more, I don't want to say cutthroat, but kind of.
Oh, I'm sure. I have no doubt.
Mhm.
Well, how did you, how did you prepare and plan for that? I'm sure that that was one you really wanted to make sure you gave everything you had and that you were trained up. So what kind of training went into this, and how much volume were you doing?
I'm trying to. So yeah, so that year I started, the first race of that year was Boston. So I ran the Boston Marathon, and then after that I kind of just started increasing the mileage on the bike and swimming. And then I did a few 70.3, so half Ironmans before the full Ironman. So I did one race in May, and then I did a hard like training focused session during June and July, and then I did 70.3 World Championship in August, and then took a week or two to recover from that, and then ramped up till the full Ironman World Championships that was in October. At the time leading up to the World Championships in October, I was training, I think, 18 hours a week. And for Ironmans, that's I trained every day. So that whole year, I trained 7 days a week. The one day would be just an easy swim. That was like my recovery day. And then besides that, I had doubles all the other days, except sometimes if it was just a long bike ride, like a 6-hour bike ride or a long run.
That's awesome.
That's a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
mean, that's a
hours.
lot of miles.
Yeah.
That's I bet you were in really good shape when you showed up at that race then.
Yes.
Do
Yeah,
you think, do you think that was probably the best shape you've been in so far?
I would say then the year after that. So yeah, that was in 2023. So then in 2024, as I continued, got faster, and just the mileage accumulating, the volume accumulating over time, I was able to become faster in 2024. But what was special about the World Championship Ironman in 2023 is I broke 10 hours, and in the Ironman world, that's like a lot of people's goal. With marathons, a lot of people's goal is to break 3 hours, so it's kind of the equivalent in the Ironman world. And so I was, yeah, super stoked about that.
So I'm guessing that you put a lot of time into learning how to properly cycle and building that fitness up. Because I remember you said that was the one thing you were kind of struggling with in the beginning. You were great at running and swimming. So what did you do on the cycling front to really improve that?
To get, I guess, the Ironman biking fitness, it was kind of just increase the long rides. That first Ironman I did, I would just increase my long ride by 10 miles every single week. So it went from, I think, the first week starting at 20 miles and then working all the way up to 100 miles. And it was kind of like we would increase and then kind of take a recovery week, and then like increase and take a recovery week. So after that first Ironman, my body was used to biking 100 miles. And so that next year, it was just keeping that long distance. And so just getting used to sitting on my bike for 4 to 6 hours. And I would go on a long ride. Yeah, that was 4 to 6 hours every week.
I mean, it's so much time.
Yeah.
It's so much time. I see why you wanted to go hike the AT.
Yes.
Between that and working, the hours you were working at TVA makes it really hard when you're working, overnights and stuff. So kudos to you for making all of that work. I know that was probably stressful and hard.
Yeah.
But you did something pretty special. That's pretty cool. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a lot of balancing of both of them.
I have to ask you a question before I move into my main question I ask everybody. But my other question is, you finish the AT, you come back, you're doing Mountain Mist, you become, the Taco Bell queen, and now were you able to come back and find a job pretty easily?
Um, yeah, so I decided at the time, I don't want to go back into civil engineering. My true passion is athletics, and so I ended up getting a job at the Pace House by the long run.
I love it.
Yeah, so I get to talk to people about running, which is I really enjoy. And then I'm also going to start coaching with the High Five Endurance team that's here in Knoxville.
Well, that is awesome.
Yeah.
And you work for some pretty great people. So,
Absolutely.
We think a lot of Ethan and Julia.
Yeah.
They've sponsored our races for a very long time.
Yeah.
So we think a lot of them.
Yep.
Ethan does a lot of course measurements for me, with me begging him that he doesn't really want to do. So I really want to say thank you, Ethan.
Yeah, they do a lot for the running community. I mean, I've been going to their Tuesday runs for the last 4 years, but I didn't realize how much they do until I started working there. They're like working all week, and then they go out to whatever race is that weekend and set up an aid station. And
yeah, I mean, at the Cherokee last year, Ethan was at the first aid station for the 70K. He was there for I don't know how many hours that aid station is, but he's out there.
Yeah, and they'll be working this coming weekend at the Pistol, and he's the guest speaker on Friday. So he's they do a lot for the running community, but that's kind of cool. I mean, you get to work with your passion, which is fun, and now you're going to start coaching. So that's cool. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Really cool. So that leads me to this question now, which is why? Why do you continue to run? Why do you continue to want to do these Ironmans? Why did you race the Taco Bell 50K? Like, what motivates you, and why do you do it?
ooh, that is a good question, because honestly, 2 years ago, in 2024, when I was burnt out, I asked myself that a lot during that year. I was like, why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself through this pain? Like, especially during races, I'd be in the middle of a race and I'm like, why am I doing this? I could be out enjoying something nice on this weekend instead of traveling and racing. And so I think hiking the AT kind of put all that in perspective. When I was out there, I realized I missed the racing in atmosphere. I think I enjoy pushing myself to the limit. And so I think that's a big why. Just to see what I can do. The body is capable of more than we think. That's what I've learned since getting into endurance sports. And I also do it for like the community. I joined the rowing team partially because I wanted to be on a team again. And that's the same thing as I run, swim, and bike. I think that is one reason I enjoy running the most, is just because here in Knoxville we have an amazing running community, and there is like a run group you can go to every day of the week.
Yep.
And so I'm hoping as I become a triathlon coach and get into that hopefully the swimming and biking community will also increase here at Knoxville too.
I mean, it just continues to keep growing. So it's a pretty amazing community, and it's it's pretty cool to even think about like rowing being, the community like you were trying to get into. So I think that's really cool, like that you're using sports and endurance and stuff to find those communities, because regardless if you're doing rowing, cycling, running, it's all the same kind of mindset. And you meet really cool people in all of these sports, so it's kind of like a draw for all of us to kind of meet all these amazing people, because you never know who you're talking to. It's just really cool.
What I've saw over the last few years, like you said, it's growing, But a lot of these events, like from the trail to the road and with the triathlons, a lot of it is crossover. A lot of the same people are starting to do all of it, so the community is just going to keep growing and get bigger and bigger. And that, I mean, that's exciting.
All right, Mr. Williams, let's turn it over to you.
All right,
Katie's got some
We got a
questions.
couple questions.
Get ready, Katie.
People been on the Instagram. We got we even got another one from the last time I checked.
Oh, you popular girl.
All right, the first one is, what is your favorite memory from the thru hike? And then, yes, that's that one first. She got like 3 questions in the same one.
Wow, that is a tough one. That was just 5.5 months of new memories every day. I would say my favorite memory, well, besides all the people I've met, it was the cool thing about the Appalachian Trail is you would meet somebody, so you have trail names, so people don't go by their real names. So you would meet somebody, you would learn their trail name, you would hike with someone for like a day, hear their whole life story, and then the next day they might be hiking to somewhere different and you never see them again. So that was just a big memory, is just meeting a whole bunch of different people from all over the country, different stages of life, and also other places of the world too. A specific day on the AT that I remember the most is honestly the last day, hiking up to Mount Katahdin. I really didn't know what to expect, and the views there were beautiful. It was like being out west, and there was just so much energy that day, and the day I finished, it was beautiful, and there were a dozen or more other thru hikers finishing too, and I was one of the last ones to the sign, the famous Katahdin sign that you finish at. And so I was just like walking up to the sign, and there was like 20 other or a dozen other thru hikers just like cheering for me, and that was an amazing moment, and I'm glad I finished on the same day as a few people I hiked half the trail with, so that was just special.
That is really cool.
What is the biggest thing you learned during the thru hike?
Ooh, I would say for me personally, the biggest thing I learned was how to rest and recover and listen to what my body needs. Like basically like sleep-wise and making sure, I'm just not pushing myself over the limit.
Yeah, when you're going to be out there for 5 months, that's really important.
What was your goal of how many hours you were trying to sleep each night?
Well, I didn't really have a goal. I guess about 8 hours. And at first I was doing that pretty easily because it was getting dark about 8. So it was like it got dark, so everyone goes in their tents and you sleep. But then as it got hotter in the summer and the sun is out longer, I probably didn't sleep as much. But then I ended up, so even my trail name was Sunrise, and people would ask, is it sunrise because you wake up early? And it's actually pretty ironic because I was usually one of the last people awake in the morning. I just naturally go to sleep later and wake up earlier. So once at one point I was setting an alarm because the people I was hiking with wanted to wake up early. So then once I started hiking with a different group who also slept in, I would sleep in longer, I would sleep longer, and I was sleeping like 9 hours a night at some points.
Just exhausted, I'm sure.
9 hours. Doesn't that sound incredible right now?
Yeah.
Just 9 hours of sleep. What is one thing that you would do differently if you did it again?
The biggest thing I would change would be to have a smaller pack. So my backpack weighed 40 pounds, almost like one entire thru hike, which is heavy. Most people try to get theirs between like 30 to 35, and I honestly tried to at some points. At the beginning, it was heavy, and I was like, oh, it's no big deal. Like, it wasn't slowing me down. I was still, since I was fit, most people come onto to the AT, and they are not fit. They, like, start off pretty slow and work their way up. Since I had all like the Ironman and marathon training, I was already fit, and so I was keeping up. I was one of the faster people on trail, and I was like, you know what, if I can keep up with the fastest and I have this pack on, it's not wearing me down, it's fine. And then about 3 or 4 months into it, I started to feel the weight, and I was just trying to get rid of everything I could. I got rid of my rain jacket at one point, just any miscellaneous thing that I could get rid of. I tried to get rid of, like, not a compass, but a whistle. I got rid of that. I started off with emergency matches. Definitely didn't need those. I got rid of those immediately. A tarp. I started with a tarp. Yeah, I got rid of those. So if I could, I would somehow figure out to get a lighter weight. I guess I did have some things that aren't necessity, but comfort items, I guess you'd say. I had a whole separate outfit to sleep in. So I had like a hiking outfit to wear during the day, wore it every day, and then I had a whole other outfit to sleep in, and like an extra sports bra and extra underwear. And some people didn't have those things, and that's why their pack was lighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you needed them.
Yeah, but I mean, that is good when you sleep to have a different clothes. I mean, sometimes you just want to get out of the stuff. I mean, like Vol State, like you're saying, just dumping stuff. That's what David did. Like, I think what day in, he was just like, don't need it, don't need it, don't need it, don't need it.
I probably threw $300 in a trash can. I mean, it was bad. It was like my extra. It's 2 pair of running shorts, 2 pair of running underwear, socks, all kinds of stuff. I was just like, and you know, at the end of the day, that stuff might have weighed a pound, but I was like, I don't care.
Yeah, every pound counts.
Yeah. I'm like before Vol State, I was at there weighing, and I'm like, I gotta get this lighter. I gotta figure out how to get this lighter. But that's a good one. Did hiking the AT change your perspective on competitive endurance sports?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it changed my perspective personally. I think up until hiking the AT, I was doing a lot of things just because I was good at it, not necessarily because I liked it. And I think having that time on the AT made me have like away from the chaos of life. I got to like really realize what I actually enjoy. But overall, endurance sports itself, I don't think it changed my perspective on that. I will say maybe the FKTs. So when I was on the AT, I got to see John Kelly, who was trying to set the FKT on those. Those are tough. Yeah. People who can do that. I think before hiking the AT, I kind of always thought in my mind, you know what, I'll start trying to do FKTs of different trails. But after seeing that and hiking the AT, I'm realizing how difficult that actually is.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive what they've been able to do on that trail.
Oh yeah, they just seem like they keep getting faster and faster.
Yes.
All right, my last question is, what is your next adventure?
Well, that's a good question. So yeah, the past kind of few months I've been on limbo. I thought after running that first 50K, I would like maybe fall in love with trail running. I mean, I did. I love it, but I also realized I love triathlons too. So I'm not really sure race-wise what my next adventure is, but I am hiking part of the Arizona Trail, which is an 800-mile trail that goes from Mexico and then up through Arizona. And I am starting that next week. So on March 18th, I'm going to be in Arizona hiking.
Well, that's fun. You better stock up with some fuel at the Pace house.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think she could just wait a couple months, and they got the Arizona 300 on the Arizona Trail.
That's true. That's true.
Yep. That's a good idea.
Yep. Arizona Monster
on the Arizona Trail.
I'm surprised Ethan and Julia haven't talked you into Javelina.
Yeah, they're all about it.
Maybe in the future. I will say I did watch a documentary with Julia one day about it, and I was like, okay, that one looks pretty fun because it's just like loops of the same, and it doesn't seem like it's too technical.
Yeah.
Nope, just really hot.
Just don't run into the cacti like Tara keeps doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I'm sure whatever you choose to do, you're gonna be great at.
Yeah.
Great at it. And who knows? Maybe you do both. Maybe you do triathlons and ultras. So I'm sure you'll figure it out. But we can't wait to see what you do next. And obviously, have fun next week. That's really cool. So you're leaving out next week?
Yes, I'm leaving next week.
How many miles are you planning on doing?
Right now I'm not exactly sure. I'm at least doing 3 weeks, so that'll probably be around 300 miles of the 800 miles.
Nice.
Sweet.
That's gonna be fun. You doing it alone, or is anybody going with you?
No, I'm doing it with a few people that I hiked the AT with. It was actually their idea. Yeah, so they're
nice. Well, have fun out there, Sunrise.
Thank you.
Well, Katie, that is all that we have. Do you have any questions for us?
No, I guess I don't.
We always catch everybody off guard with that question.
I know. I was so worried about what I, was going to say that I don't know. Actually, yes. Have you ever thought about thru hiking?
Oh, it's on Mary and I's bucket list. We want to do the AT. We plan on it. So when my daughter gets out of school, probably, and then let her get through some of her, after high school education, when she finishes that, then it's on our bucket list. So we definitely want to hike the AT. We both have always wanted to do it.
The one that I want to do is the Bent Mackay Trail. It's about 300 miles. It goes to the Smokies, and it's where we put on our Cherokee race. It starts right there in Springer Mountain, just like the AT does. So I want to do that one. That's the one I want to start with.
And I don't know why I didn't think about this earlier, but you were just talking about you were out there with John Kelly. So you were also out there with one of our Nobody Cares Run Faster athletes. Y'all might have crossed paths, or maybe not, but Sarah was out there.
Yep.
She set the FKT for solo.
Self-supported. Yeah.
I can't remember. What was it, 60-ish days?
70, I think 72.
Was it 70?
72 days by herself.
So, so she was out there setting that FKT during the same time, because I think she saw John Kelly too. So y'all were probably like somewhere close, I would imagine.
Okay. Yeah, I heard about her. I don't think I ever saw her. I think she might have been like right ahead of me. I don't know. And then started right ahead of me, and then was just ahead of me the whole time.
Well, we had her on the podcast, Sarah Baker, on here talking about it, and she actually got norovirus in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So she talks about all that. It was pretty rough. So that cost her a few days, but it was pretty rough. She still somehow did it, though. It's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, that's impressive. Completing that while getting noro. I will say I was very lucky. I never got noro or Lyme disease, and usually people at least get one of them, sometimes both of them. So, I was lucky in that regard.
Yeah, you don't want either.
No.
Well, Katie, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the podcast with us, sharing your story. Pretty cool story. So thank you for sharing all of that. I had no idea how well you were doing in the Ironman, so that's kind of fun to see. And then obviously you've got a very short ultra running career, but already you've podiumed both of your ultras in your very first trail race and your very first Taco Bell race. Congratulations. And, please come out and run some more with us in the future, even if it's just to come do a training run, but come join us. And we appreciate you so much and can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I look forward to possibly joining one of the East Coast adventure runs. or races.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We got plenty to choose from.
We do. Well, Katie, thank you so much, and we wish you the best.
Thank you.